sports. We are Blackmore. We are Wisconsin.
After a long winter, it is game time once again at Miller Park. Opening day 2015. They are tailgating by the thousands outside of Miller Park. It's going to be an epic day in Wisconsin. You got the national championship game with the Badgers tonight and a little baseball this afternoon. The Milwaukee Brewers hosting the Colorado Rockies on opening day. Well, the field is in picture-perfect condition, and we are so ready to get this started. Hi, everybody. Great to have you with us. Alongside Bill Schroeder, I'm Brian Anderson. Our cast of thousands behind the cameras as well. We are so delighted to have you with us. And, Rock, there's no better day than opening day. I cover a lot of different sports, but this is the one that gets you going the most, doesn't it?
You hear these guys getting introduced before the ball game, the crowd going wild. I still get goosebumps.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been through a ton of these, and they seem to never get old. And the best baseball part of the day right here today, getting opening day here at Miller Park. It's been, you got to look and see the Brewers might have a pretty decent season this year. Looking forward.
What are you thinking about the crew? Now, we've seen a lot of them this spring. They feel confident. We heard from Doug Melvin in the pregame show. What do you think some of the keys are, Rock?
Well, that guy right there is going to be a big key. If he's able to stay healthy and keep that thumb in good shape and be able to stay out on the field. If the Brewers offense is anything like it was in spring training, you figure they're going to be able to score some runs. Top of the rotation is looking real solid. You got Willie Peralta, Garza, Matt, and Los going today. Bullpen looking pretty good. They're pretty deep. They got some guys in the minor leagues that they can go to if they need some help. But offensively, they're looking pretty good so far.
Well, the Brewers feel like this is a ball club that is in a better position than they were last year. Better talent. Jonathan Lucroy making the All-Star team last year. He ended up as the starter at the All-Star game. He set a major league record for doubles in a season. No catcher has ever done that. And Jonathan Lucroy, the Brewers catcher, is emerging as not just one of the faces of this franchise, but one of the faces of Major League Baseball as well. So you put all that together, the great ceremony of opening day, and I would imagine you having gone through an opening day, there's a little bit of anxiety going through the players. Opening day is a little different than the rest of the season.
I talked to Robin Yan around the batting cage during spring training. He said it doesn't matter how long you play. It's always a big day. You get those butterflies. But one thing this Brewers ball club has a little bit of advantage of, I mean, a lot of these guys were here for opening day last year. You got a veteran ball club. Only one change from the starting lineup from last year. Defensive, that's Adam Lynn. He's been around a while. So you got a veteran ball club. Shouldn't be much of a problem.
It's our 9th year together, partner.
Can't believe it.
It's been awesome.
Well done.
It's a great ride. I can't wait to get it started, folks. Hope you'll sit there with us and watch a little baseball today. It's happening. Kyle Loesch, opening day starter. We got the Brew Crew and the Colorado Rockies coming up next on Fox Sports Wisconsin. presented by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. Book your stay now. Umpiring crew is in place. That is the crew chief, Dale Scott. He'll call the balls and strikes today. Dan Isonia, C.B. Buckner, Lance Barrett, and they are with the two managers as they exchange the lineups. Walt Weiss, a terrific player in his time. And, of course, Ron Renneke coming back. Renneke has been the skipper since 2011, and he is hoping for a repeat performance of 2011 when the Brewers won a division title. As the two managers go through some of the ground rules, not much has changed here at Miller Park. Everything is in beautiful order. The grass, the outfield grass especially, has just been raved about. One of those winters you just don't know how it would come back, but all the players talking about the field conditions here at Miller Park having never been better. And as the thousands of fans come in from their tailgating and start to fill up this ballpark, and it'll be a capacity crowd today for sure. Miller Park starting to take shape once again, Rock. What a beautiful venue, and what a great moment here for opening day.
Yeah, we are very fortunate to be able to come to a ballpark each and every year that has the retractable roof. And as you mentioned, Michael Betcher and his ground crew have done a spectacular job under trying circumstances at best throughout the winter. They had some nice weather in the spring last week or so, but looking all good right now.
And Kyle Loesch and the Brewers take the field for the first time in 2015. Well, there are some dignitaries in the house today, as you would imagine, and the former commissioner, how about that, MLB Commissioner Emeritus Bud Selig throwing out the first pitch to the man who bought the team from the Selig family, Mark Attanasio. And they embrace. That'll be a great photo. We will visit with both Mark Attanasio and Bud Selig. Hard to think of him as the former commissioner right now. And there you see the Colorado Rockies and Walt Weiss. Justin Morneau, a big part of their lineup. The batting champion from a year ago. Weiss now in year number 3. Let's take a look at Weiss's lineup. The Rockies will set up this way. It is courtesy of Potawatomi. They are healthy with their position players. They have a very strong lineup led by Troy Tulowitzki. They've got Blackman with a lot of speed at the top. Carlos Gonzalez, the other cargo, batting second. You got Tulowitzki, Morneau, Nolan Arenado, a terrific defender as well at third base. Corey Dickerson will be in left. He had a nice season last season. And the bottom three, Nick Hundley, DJ LeMahieu, and the Rockies opening day starter is the former Philly Kyle Kendrick. And there is Kyle Loesch, and Rockets his third opening day start. His first two came with the St. Louis Cardinals in 08 and 2012. And for the first time since 09, it's somebody other than Giovanni Gallardo on the mound for opening day for the Brewers.
Now, and a good guy to make the start today. You talked about those two opening day starts for Loesch. And he did pretty well. He's 1-0 with a .73 earned run average on opening day. 1 earned run in 12 1/3 innings. Put together a very good spring train. Let's check out the Menards defense for the Brewers behind Kyle today. Chris Davis, Carlos Gomez, Ryan Braun from left to right. Ramirez, Segura, Jeanette, Adam Lynn from third to first. And behind home plate, all-star Jonathan Lucroy.
Well, all the pieces are in place. And we're set for baseball 2015. Sit back, relax, enjoy. It's going to be a great season, everyone, and we're glad you're with us. Charlie Blackmon digs in. Kyle Loesch toes the rubber. Dale Scott says, play ball, and let's do just that. The first pitch of the season. And away we go. The bearded one, Charlie Blackmon. Certainly a guy to keep off the base paths. 28 steals last year. Rock, you start looking at this Colorado lineup, and they match up well with any lineup in the major leagues. They've got speed, they've got power, they've got a lot of balance in their lineup as well. And you know they're going to do damage at Coors Field.
Yeah, veteran guys that have been there, done that. As you mentioned, they're healthy again this year. The Rockies led just about in every offensive category last year in the National League. Their problem was pitching, dead last in pitching, top of the heap offensively, and Walt Weiss is hoping to get some outs on the mound this year, hoping to contend in that National League West.
2 balls, 1 strike. First batter of the season, and Blackmon fouls it away. It's 2-2. And for Kyle Lohse, a very mild-mannered individual, what do you imagine his emotions are pitching on opening day? His first opening day nod as a Brewer.
Well, perfect mentality to have opening day. You know, these Rockies hitters, all hitters are going to be amped up on opening day. Lohse relies on off speed and keeping hitters off balance. That's the kind of a guy you want out there on opening day.
2-2 pitch is just inside. And the crowd wanted that call from Dale Scott.
I think Charlie Blackmon was expecting to get rung up. He just stood there for a while looking back, and he got the call.
The payoff, and Blackmon in the air to left, routine for Chris Davis, and that's how the season begins. A fly ball out to left, and 1 away for Kyle Lohse.
It was a tremendous spring that he had going until his last start against the Cubs. That was on April 1st. Gave up 7 earned runs in 4 innings in his last tune-up before the regular season. But before that, he was outstanding. Throwing strikes, keeping hitters off balance, and pitching deep into games.
Kyle Lohse is 36 years of age, but doesn't look like it. He's a guy that keeps himself in great shape. 3rd year with the Brewers, facing Carlos Gonzalez, who is back and healthy, and a very dangerous bat at the plate. A former batting champion. Gonzalez, Tulowitzki, Morneau, who won the batting title last year. Can be a tough lineup to get through.
Arenado, Dickerson with a ton of home runs. It tells you how good this lineup is when you have Carlos Gonzalez in the number 2 spot.
Gonzalez, a 2-time All-Star, had a ton of injuries last year. Finished the season on the 60-day DL as he rifles one into the gap. That's going to go all the way to the fence. And Carlos Gonzalez with the first hit of the season. And it is a 1-out double in the first inning.
And that's what he does. He's not afraid to go to the opposite field. Lohse gave him one right down the middle of the plate. Didn't try and pull it. You see that 2-seamer that stayed up out over the plate. Lohse wanted that down a little bit more, and Gonzalez hammers it into the gap in left center. Guy can hit when he's healthy. Make no mistake about it.
I got it.
So double number 1 for Gonzalez, and that'll bring up Troy Tulowitzki. Been a lot of talk about the speed up rules in baseball. I think the 2 culprits that are going to be affected the most would be Tulowitzki and Ryan Braun in this matchup. A couple of guys that typically step out of the box and do a lot of fidgeting. So we're kind of curious to see how these guys go about their business.
Yeah, there wasn't much mention of it in spring training. Umpires didn't really say much about it or talk to the players about it. And Tulowitzki, as you mentioned, one of the big culprits. There he goes. Not supposed to do that.
Yeah, he's supposed to keep a foot in the box, and it's almost as if he just remembered right there, right? He stepped out and then he
looked like Dale Scott was saying something to him.
There will be no on-field disciplinary measures, by the way, just so you're aware. They will fine the players, send them a nasty letter and fine them, and hope to change the habits a little bit. And Tulowitzki obliges here, keeps a foot in the box.
You wonder how that whole thing is going to affect the way guys are. I mean, it's a routine that they have each and every time they take a pitch. They're allowed to step out of the box after a foul ball.
Ball and a strike on Troy Tulowitzki. 1-2. Tulowitzki had hip surgery last year. Torn labrum. You think about that injury mainly in the shoulder, but Tulowitzki had the torn labrum in the hip. He only played in 91 games, and still he hit 21 homers and 52 runs batted in last year, and he hit for a .340 average. Ball and 2 strikes. Count remains at 1-2.
And even with all the injuries, we talked about Carlos Gonzalez, Tulowitzki, they still led the National League in home runs, even without those 2 guys playing every day. It's a good lineup, not just those 2 guys.
2 guys that push each other. Walt Weiss was talking about these 2 in particular Carlos Gonzalez, Troy Tulowitzki, reminding him of how Jose Canseco and Mark McGwire pushed each other back in those Oakland Athletics days when they were winning divisions. And then Weiss also mentioned that it reminds him a little bit of when he was an Atlanta Brave and the three pitchers that pushed to Hall of Fame levels. Smoltz and Glavine and Maddox, of course.
Yeah, it's good to have that. I mean, you can't expect the manager to do all the motivating. It's got to be players within themselves. Makes it easy on the managers and coaches.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Runner at second with 1 out. Just underway at Miller Park, and had him fooled, but Tulowitzki able to foul it off. Count stays at 2-2. A lot of talk about Tulowitzki and will he be in a Rockies uniform at the end of the season. But he is one of the most dangerous offensive shortstops in the game. Staying on the field has been a different story for him, but you see he ranks first in a lot of the major categories offensively.
And he's a heck of a shortstop.
Has won a Gold Glove, as a matter of fact, at that position. See what Loesch has in mind on a 2-2. Had him out in front again, but he fouls it back.
Yeah, back-to-back changeups to Tulowitzki. So Kyle is throwing everything at him in his first at bat. Tulowitzki hanging in there. Tough out.
Loesch in his first 2 opening day starts, both coming as a member of the St. Louis Cardinals. The first one came against Colorado. He went 5 shutout innings. That was back in 08. Did it again back in 2012 against the Marlins. And pitched well that day. Went 7 1/3 with just 1 earned run. So he has been through this. He has been a guy that has pitched in the first game of a postseason scenario. He threw in the first ever wild card game where the wild card teams matched up against each other as a member of the Cardinals as well. That's line down the left field line in trouble. It's fair. And a run will come in. Tulowitzki on his way to second. And an RBI double gives the Rockies a first inning lead here.
Yep, it was a 2-seamer down and in. Tulowitzki just drops the head of the bat on it and hits it hard down the left field line. Long at bat, Loesch and Tulowitzki, won by the Colorado shortstop. There's that 2-seamer going down and in. Tulowitzki able to get the barrel of the bat on it and keep it fair. So back-to-back doubles after Loesch was able to get the first man out.
8-pitch at bat on Troy Tulowitzki. And now Tulowitzki replaces Gonzalez. Here is Justin Morneau. And he's hacking away at the first pitch. Big bounce back here last year for Morneau. He is now 2 years removed from the concussion problems that hampered him as a member of the Minnesota Twins. And won a batting championship last year in the National League. Hit .319 last year. 17 homers, 82 driven in for Morneau a season ago. Breaks his bat. Little flare out to Segura, and out number 2.
Man, every now and then Kyle Loesch will do that to you. Jam you on the inside corner. When he thinks you are looking away, he will bust you in. Doesn't throw very hard. He'll top out at about 91 maybe. It keeps you off balance with a steady diet of all-speed pitches and not afraid to come inside on you.
Here's Nolan Arenado. Arenado begins the year hitting 5th in this lineup. Another weapon offensively and one of the best third basemen defensively in all of baseball. Now the proud holder of 2 Gold Gloves, partner. The broken finger set him back.
Yeah, another guy that was hurt last year. Rockies 66 and 96 last year.
Runner at second with 2 outs. Now the Rockies are hoping Arenado makes that jump into an all-star performer. And elevated in the lineup to that 5 spot. Pretty good spot to be. Figure he's going to have a lot of base runners on in front of him this year.
And guys get run a little bit. They liken Arenado to the mentality of a Carlos Gomez. He's kind of a lot of energy, bounces around the clubhouse, he gets guys going. Not quite sure it's to the level of Carlos, but still in all.
Unattainable. 2-1 pitch, hammered left center. And this is going to bring in another run. That's going to go to the fence again. It's another double. And the hard-hitting Rockies are doing just that in this first inning. The 3rd double of the inning. It's now 2-0.
Yeah, every time Los makes a mistake, the Rockies are jumping all over it. Fastball right down the middle. And Arenado hits it hard all the way to the wall. Another 2-seamer. Watch where it ends up. Yeah, right down the middle of the plate upstairs. So another mistake by Los. And another double by the Rockies.
Gonzalez, Tulowitzki, and Arenado with doubles in this first inning. 2 runs are in. And Los will face Corey Dickerson now. Another one of the bright young stars coming up with the Rockies. 24 home runs a season ago. Starting in left field for opening day. A guy who strikes out a lot, but he is going to be counted on to be a big run producer in that Rockies lineup this year. He drove in 76 last season.
And Brewers saw him when they were in Colorado last year, and he was a one-man wrecking crew against Milwaukee in that 3-game series.
Loesch struggling through this first inning. 25 pitches already, 3 hits allowed. Just trying to get the first one out of the way. Ball and a strike. Big swing on a changeup. 1-2 it goes.
Yeah, Dickerson saw that one pretty well. Another pitch up. Kyle's having a difficult time getting that stuff down in the strike zone. That was a mistake that Dickerson wasn't able to take advantage of.
You know, power pitchers can use adrenaline. They get pumped up. You can use that to your advantage. I remember Ben Sheets in his opening day starts. He used to just power that fastball in the mid to upper 90s. A little different story for Kyle Loesch.
Got to be just the opposite. Got to knock it down a tick.
The 1-2 pitch is hit hard into right. Going back on it is Braun, and he is out of room. And this one is not starting well for Kyle Loesch and the Brewers. 2-run home run by Dickerson makes it 4-0.
Well, we said that they could hit, and they're proving it. And it didn't take them long. Look at that cut fastball from Kyle, and ended up and in on Dickerson. There you see it. Up and in, pulls the hands in and knocks it out of here for a 4-0 Rockies lead. No doubt about that one.
And another 2-strike hit for the Rockies. 4-zip. Here's Nick Hundley, the 7th batter of the inning. Former Padre. Hundley traded to the Orioles last year from San Diego, and figures to be the everyday catcher now for the Colorado Rockies. Wilin Rosario has essentially been moved out of the position, even though he could certainly still catch. They're mostly going to use him off the bench as a pinch hitter and have him play a little first base.
Yeah, Michael Mahenry's the backup catcher, and the Rockies thought he had a lot of promise, Wilin Rosario. Now it's Hundley's turn.
Bringing Hundley in to try to settle this very young pitching staff. He hits one hard right center. Braun is there. This one mercifully comes to an end. All right, we'll see if the Brewers can get the bats going. They're going to need to. A 4 spot in the first. Carlos Gomez will get us started when we come back. Run home run to cap off the scoring. And now the Brewers finally getting their shot at the plate. Ron Roenicke, year 5 as the Milwaukee Brewers manager. And he loves his lineup, and he is going to go with Carlos Gomez in the leadoff spot. That was a big discussion point this spring. And here are the rest of the Brewers, the Potawatomi lineup with Gomez, Lucroy, and Braun at the top. Ramirez, Adam Lind, the newcomer from Toronto, and then Chris Davis in the middle with Jeanette Segura and Kyle Loesch rounding it out. And Rock on the mound, it is a former Philly, Kyle Kendrick, in his first opening day start.
Yeah, he has been a full-time starter with the Phillies the last couple of years. Came over to the Rockies as a free agent. You see his numbers last year in 32 starts, a 10-13 record, and a .461 earned run average. So he goes from one very good hitter's ballpark to another very good hitter's ballpark. Kyle Kendrick, the cutter changeup specialist.
Very similar in style to Kyle Loesch. Carlos Gomez will lead off for the Brewers. Roenicke toying with the lineup this spring, having Gomez hit a little lower in the lineup in more of a run producer's role, but loves the power at the top. And Gomez, who has 7 career leadoff home runs, had 5 of those last year, will take that spot to begin the season.
Yeah, there weren't many questions going into spring training for Ron Roenicke, but that leadoff spot was one of them. Scooter Gennett got a lot of starts in spring training at the leadoff spot. He ends up in the 7th spot now, and Carlos back at that leadoff spot.
No balls, 2 strikes on Gomez. Skips in for ball 1. Part of the other story with Gomez in the leadoff spot, he does bring a great presence to the box. He has the big power, but he is an exceptional base stealer. And his career is just shy of 90% with a stolen base success rate, which is hard to match. The 1-2. And Gomez chases one. Down he goes on strikes.
Yeah, it took a little off out of the strike zone, and Carlos not able to hold up. Well, you're going to get that out of Carlos. The swing and a miss from time to time. Let's check out the Brewers' Menard's defense for the Colorado Rockies. Dickerson, Blackmon, and Gonzalez in the outfield. Arenado, Tulowitzki, LeMahieu, and Justin Morneau around the horn. And Nick Hundley behind the plate, hanging the signs for Kyle Kendrick today.
Got Gold Glovers all across this Rockies defense. Their infield is about as good as it gets. Tulowitzki, Arenado, LeMahieu, all Gold Glove Award winners. And Carlos Gonzalez has won a pair himself. First at bat of the season for Jonathan Lucroy. You wonder if his star continues to shine in Major League Baseball. He just keeps getting better and better. Hit over 300 last year.
Yeah, but he can hit anywhere in the lineup. Probably the best number 2 hitter the Brewers have as an option in the number 2 spot. Goes to right field well, takes a pitch. He will allow Gomez to try and steal a base when he gets on.
Lucroy was slowed a little bit at the outset of spring training, had a hamstring problem. He missed about the first 9 days of spring training as once exhibition games began, but he still participated in all the drills and was able to catch up with his at-bats. So he comes into the season fully ready to go. Feels like he had plenty of at-bats. He was swinging the bat well in the Cactus League this year. Right back up the middle. Sounded like he broke his bat. LeMahieu for out number 2.
Yeah, there was no problem with the hamstring for Lucroy. He was taking extra bases, getting down the line in good shape, and not limited behind home plate.
Here comes Ryan Braun. Well, if there was ever an X factor in the Brewers lineup, it is Ryan Braun. He's always been the bell cow in the Brewers starting lineup. Thumb injury last year. Had a procedure in the offseason to deaden the nerve. It was a very minimal surgery to deaden that nerve in his thumb. So he has no feeling in there, which means he has no pain right now. And judging by the way he's swinging the bat toward the end of spring training in what he showed us in batting practice today, I think he's feeling like his old self.
And he's got the confidence. He's not worried about that thumb any longer like he was in September of last year. Well, you could tell there was something wrong with Braun in September. Really had a tough time at the plate. He really moved off the plate a lot, which changed the whole dynamic of his at-bats. No, not anymore.
Those spring training numbers were gaudy. He started the Cactus League 0 for 13 and still put up those big numbers. It's a good example of what Rock's talking about. That pitch right there, that's a guaranteed take last year for Ryan Braun. Just had to make sure he wasn't going to get jammed with the injury. Now he's letting it fly a little bit.
And early in spring training, he was a little bit tentative. You can't blame him. Wondering how it was going to feel, but got over that quickly.
1 ball, 2 strikes. 2 outs in the inning. The Rockies scored 4 in the first. And all 4 hits were extra base hits, all of them coming on 2-strike pitches. This will begin a 3-game series against the Rockies. The next 2 are night games, tomorrow night and Wednesday night, and then the Brewers will bring in the Pittsburgh Pirates Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So a homestand to start the year of 6 games over 7 days. Braun lines one foul.
Yeah, Brewers were 6-1 against the Rockies last year.
This is going to be a very interesting month here in April, because after this series with Colorado, the Brewers will sit exclusively in the National League Central for the rest of the month. As a matter of fact, until May 4th. They will play the Cubs, the Reds, the Cardinals.
And a lot of baseball experts are saying that the National League Central is the toughest division in baseball, so it's not going to be easy for them. Of course, they were saying that last year in May or in April for the Brewers. And remember what the Brew Crew did in April last year.
A great start to the year. 20 out of 26 to begin the season. And they rode that hot start almost till the end, till the final 6 weeks. 1-2 pitch. Braun lays off. Good take. 2-2.
That's that changeup from Kendrick. He's got a good one. It's one of his better pitches, the cutter. He'll throw that to both right-handers and left-handers. Doesn't throw hard.
Had spent his entire career with the Philadelphia Phillies. 8 seasons in the big leagues with the Phillies. And part of this movement by the Rockies to get more sinker slider pitchers in Colorado, more ground ball specialists. Who knows? The book is still out. Walt Weiss now in his 3rd year. Remember, there was a wave where they thought maybe power pitchers would be better served in Colorado. Use the mountain air to your advantage. I think they've changed course a little bit. As Kendrick misses. And a good at bat here by Braun pushes the count full to 3-2.
Let's face it, no real one style is very good to pitch in Colorado. You just got to get ahead in the count. Everybody talks about the home runs there, but it's being too fine, walking batters and then giving up the base hits. Pitchers find themselves very tentative at Coors Field.
Full count. And it's on the corner. A called strike 3. Braun strikes out. Kendrick, a 1-2-3 inning with a couple of Ks after his club put 4 on the board in the top of the first. brought to you by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. By Toyota. See where Toyota takes you. Test drive one at your Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. And by Miller Lite, the original light Pilsner. Cheers. It's Miller time. Kyle Loesch back to work, trying to settle in here after a 4-run first. DJ LeMahieu leading the way for the Rockies in this second inning. Rockies get 4 runs on 4 hits. RBIs from Tulowitzki, Arenado, and a 2-run homer from Corey Dickerson in the first inning. All 4 of those hits coming in a 2-strike count, but you don't see Loesch give up hits very often in accounts like that.
Yeah, usually when he's ahead in the count, he's very good at being able to get hitters to chase. Wasn't the case in that first inning.
Loesch in the final year of his deal with the Brewers, his 3rd season in Milwaukee. Kyle's got pretty good numbers in his career against the Colorado Rockies. 6-3 lifetime with a 3.64 earned run average in 13 career starts. And he pitched against them twice last year, giving up 4 earned runs in 12 innings. Has not lost to the Rockies in his last 7 starts. He's 5-0, 2.82 ERA in the last 7 against Colorado. There's another 2-strike hit. DJ LeMahieu gets into the act. Leadoff single in the second.
Well, Kyle just is having a very difficult time getting the baseball down in the strike zone. He's right. He's going to get some ground balls. There's a 2-seamer. Watch where it ends up. It's up. It's out over the plate, and LeMahieu doesn't try and pull it. He goes right with it. Slaps it right by Adam Lind.
And now the pitcher Kendrick up there in a little butcher boy play, and he swings and misses. Kendrick showing bunt and gets it down. That's a good one. Loesch's only play is first after a little bit of a bobble. The first out. That'll be a sacrifice for Kyle Kendrick.
Hey, it's Spring Madness in the 4-1-4 this Friday through Sunday as the Brewers take on the Pirates in the first weekend series of 2015. Save up to 50% on tickets, plus enjoy $4 beers, $1 hot dogs and sodas, and $4 nachos. Get your tickets today at brewers.com/madness.
First promo of the year is a hit, Rock. Well done.
First regular season of the year.
You had a spring training. I thought you scuffled a little bit with the promos.
Couple of glitches.
But you put your game face on today, didn't you?
Yeah, I read them over a little bit this morning.
Well done.
Got here at about 8:30. Yeah, set up the booth. Put everything in here. By the way, did you bring my binoculars back?
Yes. Brought those back for you. Thank you for allowing me to use them this off season, and we'll both enjoy them together here today. They're sitting on my couch.
You'll bring them tomorrow, right?
Right. Try to. I was doing a little bird watching this morning before we came out. Charlie Blackmon at the plate. Loesch pumps a strike in there. 0-2 the count. It's nice to actually hear birds in Milwaukee again.
Weather was nice getting off the plane, from Arizona on Saturday night.
It was a great tailgating day today. Sun shining brightly.
Yeah. Maybe we'll have an early summer. Let's just hope.
We could use it. The winter wasn't so bad until kind of when you thought you were breaking out of it, and then all of a sudden it just in February, January and February, rough.
Those are the ones you hate the most.
Cold temperatures. 0-2 on the ground. Jeanette backhands, bobbles, and that'll be a base runner. See how they score that. That'll be an error on Scooter Jeanette.
And that's a play that Scooter's been making in his sleep in spring training. You know, that backhand pickup. And just a little bit off the glove, and I think he kind of tried to get it out of the glove a little bit too quickly. Put himself in position to throw, dropped it, then kicked it, and all hands on deck safe.
So one gone, runners at the corners here for Carlos Gonzalez. And Loesch missing inside. Two and 0 the count. Well, we got. I told you we had visitors, didn't we?
Yeah, big visitor, big dignitary.
So the man who threw out the first pitch is here. Former Commissioner Emeritus Bud Selig. Great to see you.
Thank you, guys. Pleasure to be with both of you.
Nice throw today.
Yeah, you look
well,
good.
I've been in Arizona. I worked out the last 4 days, and I'll tell you why I did. Because I've said it publicly. Because I knew if I screwed up today, Euchre would never have done. In fact, he left a message in which he said he would be down there with a radar gun.
Rock, can you break this down a little? You go into some of the mechanics?
Pretty good form there, Commish, but you bend the back a little bit there.
Well, I did. I know that. And Mark Attanasio was very worried that I was going to throw him a knuckleball.
Yeah.
Now, Bill, you understand, I don't know how to throw a knuckle.
There's a hot shot. Glenn steps on the bag. Fire to the plate. The tag.
Nice.
Out. Double play. And the inning is over. We're going to squeeze a few more minutes out of the Commissioner Selig when we come back. What a play by Adam Lind. And Loesch is out of the inning. Lind with a heck of a play to start a double play that ended the top of the second inning. And Bud Selig was with us, and I kind of had a feeling a double play was coming there. So we're glad to sneak you in. And now we can sit back and have a chat. And tell us about post-commissioner life for you. I know you're still heavily involved, but what's it been like for you?
Well, I am. I've been teaching. In fact, I have a class at Marquette Wednesday. Going back to Phoenix in about a half hour, 45 minutes. Believe it or not, throw the first ball out there tonight.
So the pace hasn't changed much for you.
No, it hasn't. No, it hasn't. And I'm teaching in Madison and Marquette and probably another university, and going to start writing my book. And I've really been busy trying to get organized for all these things. And so It's been 10 weeks, but it's flown by.
Tell me what goes through your mind when you look at this beautiful ballpark, the house that Bud Selig built. Tell us your thoughts.
I was very, by the way, when I saw the #1 up there with my name along Aaron and Raleigh and Jackie Robinson and Paulie and Bob and Robin, really very emotional. You know, Bill, you remember all that we went through. It was tough. All stadium deals are tough, and they're never easy. This one was particularly painful. And what was so interesting about it here is we're trying to keep the team in Milwaukee, and it was. But look at it today, and I used to say to Wendy and everybody involved, there's a base hit.
Yeah, Ramos Ramirez, nice little play-by-play from
well,
Mr. Selig. Well done.
That's what I wanted to do way back when.
I think you made the right choice.
Well, anyway, what was so interesting about it was that I kept saying to people, someday there'll be generations of people sitting here loving this ballpark, loving this team. And look what's happened. You take a market like Milwaukee, smallest in baseball, and they draw 2.8, 3 million, 3 million plus. You know, everybody goes to places that our fans are the greatest, isn't it? But the intensity of the Milwaukee fans is just unbelievable. And I saw that way back when, and even back in the 60s when we were trying to get a team.
What a great sports day it is in Wisconsin, not just with the Brewers in their opening day, as Adam Lynn takes his first at-bat as a Brewer. But, of course, the Badgers tonight playing for the national championship. I know you'll be dialed into that one, too. What a great
will
experience.
be. It's a great story. Bo Ryan done an unbelievable job. Great bunch of kids. I tell you, I don't know about you guys, but it's just base hit, first time at bat.
There you go. I think as long as the commissioner keeps calling him, the Brewers keep getting hits, partner.
Yeah, he's something else. Well, the commissioner's something else. Can we still call you that?
Yeah, sure.
I appreciate that, because you'll always be the commissioner in my mind. But that kid, Adam Lynn, he can hit. Yeah. He is a very impressive hitter. And the Brewer fans are going to come to like him very quickly.
Right.
Now, one of the key dates on the calendar, and I know you have to leave, so we really appreciate your time here, but one of the key dates on the calendar this year is May 28th, the Selig Experience. I got an invitation today on my desk, and I was very excited about that. And this is a new area at Miller Park. It's going to be here for the ages of this ballpark. How much do you know about what this is all about? Have you seen renderings? Have you seen anything at all?
I have not, Brian. I haven't. I'm going to see it. I did cut a lot of things for it, and really emotional, and a great history of this franchise and how it all started. And little did I think way back when in that little office, Bill, you'll remember at County Stadium, where every time it rained we had a flood in my office. But that's one thing I do remember about it. But the whole history of this team will be there, and I think people are really going to enjoy it. And I'm very grateful to the Brewers, and so I'm looking forward to it. And I'm sure that Rick Schlesinger and others will show it to me beforehand. Yeah. But it's you know, one thing about baseball, its history is so important. So taking the whole history of this franchise, and people will understand that. It's really a wonderful thing.
Now the statue out front, and now the name and the #1 up there that hangs in the rafters, and then the Selig Experience. The dedication will be Thursday, May 28th. We'll have all kinds of coverage. I hear that it is a special exhibit, a very special exhibit that they put a lot of time and effort and resources into, and we're all looking forward to the unveiling of the Selig Experience.
Well, thank you. I am too.
Chris Davis at the plate, 2 on, nobody out, and he fouls one away.
You know, when in January, in my last meeting, Mark Attanasio came up afterwards and said, whole group of owners standing there, well, now you can really root openly for us. And somebody said, and I don't remember which owner it was. If I did, I would tell you, who you kidding? He's been doing that all along anyway.
Right.
We're going to see more of you around the ballpark?
Yeah, I think you will. Yeah, I love, watching a lot of games at night, but you will. Absolutely. I love coming to games here. And, you forget, boy, when you come in here, the parking and the ease of getting in. And I brought Dick Monfort, the Colorado owner, out today, and we stopped a couple times. He was watching people tailgate, He said, this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it is. It's a great fan experience.
People are lined up here at 7 o'clock in the morning.
I know.
Getting ready to go.
I know. They were debating when somebody was going to have the first beer.
2-2 on the way. Davis, a little half swing, and he goes. Attanasio rings him up, and Davis is out. Out number 1, still 2 on. Give us some thoughts on the new commissioner, Rob Manfred, how things are going from your perspective with him. How much are you guys interacting at this point?
Yeah, we've already spoken today, as a matter of fact. We had a very short, actually enjoyable conversation this morning. Fine. I think he's doing great. Look, the sport has never been more popular. It's in great shape. He knows the sport backwards and forwards. He worked 25 years with me, and really closely, by the way. So Brian, Bill, I would tell you, I think he's doing great, and I think we're set to have a huge year this year.
All right, Commissioner Selig, former Commissioner Bud Selig, Commissioner Emeritus. Now, we know you got a plane to catch. You got another first pitch to throw. How's your arm? You got to ice it down on the way to Arizona? Or
well,
you
that's
just
a good question. On the airplane, I may have to
keep
roll it around
keep
a little
warm.
bit.
Yeah.
Let me ask you one final question, Bill. How was my form? How bad was it?
It was pretty good. I mean, you reached, right? I mean, you knew right away you weren't going to be able to stand on the pitching room.
No, but
right?
That's
a smart guy.
I knew
That's
that.
why you're the commissioner.
I knew that right with that. I wasn't going to fool myself.
Well, it's great seeing you.
Thank you, guys.
Safe travels back to Phoenix. Absolutely.
Thanks,
every
Brian.
time you're here, we want to have you on the air.
Thank you. Look forward to it. Thank you.
That is Bud Selig, Commissioner Emeritus, and give us a little time. He thinks he's retired, but it's not really a retired schedule, right?
Risking off to Arizona, another first pitch, and he stays active, that's for sure. He and his wife Sue have enjoyed their time running baseball, and he's not about to slow down too much.
Got a great run as the commissioner, as Scooter Gennett tries to get the Brewers on the board for the first time. There's the statue out front of Commissioner Selig. Of course, if you don't know the story, if you're just dialing into us here and you're not so connected to the Brewers, he purchased the ball club. They were the Seattle Pilots and moved the ball club from Seattle to Milwaukee. 1970, the franchise existed first in 1969 and then 1970 here in Milwaukee, and all thanks to Bud Selig, and will go on to have a great run, 2 decades as the commissioner of baseball.
Man, what a battle he put on, along with many others, to build this ballpark, keep the Brewers in Milwaukee, and look at the state of baseball now in southeastern Wisconsin.
Well, there's the old logo right there. Guy's got a hat from the Selig era. From County Stadium to Miller Park. This ballpark here opened in 2001. Scooter Gennett trying to give him something to cheer about.
Yeah, Gennett's had great numbers against Kyle Kendrick. Coming in 5 for 6 with a home run. So he's had good success against the Rockies right-hander. Long ball here. The Brewers right back in it.
Rockies scored 4 in the first. Hits by Ramirez and Adam Lind to start this inning. And that hit him. Yikes. Gennett.
That sounded like it got boned, too.
Ouch.
Who's hurt?
Springs up on his way to first base, and that one stung him a little bit. So the bases are loaded here with 1 out.
Let's see where it gets him. A 2-seam fastball, not even close. Ooh. Yeah, right on the shin, right below the knee. Didn't hit the knee. That's good.
Yikes. That sounded like a foul ball.
Yeah.
Hit that shin right below the knee.
Yeah, that's going to be sore. That feels about as good as it's going to all day right now.
Well, here comes a key at bat. You got the pitcher Loesch on deck. Gene Segura bats with the bases loaded here. And the revitalized Segura went back to the tool shed to work on his swing, his stance at the plate. It's very similar. I think to the naked eye it'd be hard to tell, but there is quite a bit of a difference in Gennett, or rather in Segura, from this year to last.
Now what he's doing is staying back better and driving baseballs, at least in spring training, into center field and into right center, just like he did his rookie season. Last year he kind of got into a trap where he was drifting for the baseball, reaching for it. Not able to stay back, but so far so good. This spring was good for him offensively.
Needs a big hit. No balls, 2 strikes. Bases are loaded. And Segura fouls it away. That is such an important spot in the batting order in a National League lineup. There's a lot of pressure on that 8th position in the batting order, and this is the situation that it really shows up the most. There's a way out of this inning for Kyle Kendrick if he gets Segura here with the pitcher coming up next. 0-2 the count. 1-2.
Now, Segura's always been an aggressive hitter, not a guy that's going to walk a whole lot. So you figure if it's going to be close, he's going to be swinging. Base hit scores a couple. 8th place hitter has to know when to expand the strike zone and know when to be patient.
Cudley going through the signs behind the plate. Excellent defensive catcher. And a 1-2 and a ground ball right to third, to second for the first out, and the Rockies turn a double play. There's a very tight Rockies defense, and Kendrick gets out of a bases loaded 1-out jam.
Wisconsin is presented by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. Book yours. Stay now. Well, there is just nothing better than opening day here at Miller Park, but this year is extra sweet for Wisconsin fans as the Wisconsin men's basketball team is set to take on Kentucky tonight in the national championship, and the Brewers are thrilled to share this day with the Badgers and Wisconsin sports fans across the state. Both Doug Melvin and Ron Renicky offering their support. Doug Melvin saying, look, it's one huge game compared to our 162 games. He said this is their World Series, and we're thrilled to share this day with them. Offered a lot of admiration for Bo Ryan, the way he runs his program, focusing on fundamentals every day. He said those are things as a general manager that I can appreciate. Ron Renicky saying the same. You know, this team started following the Badgers during last year's Final Four run. We watched it on the flight home. Very excited to see them do well and to see them have this opportunity. And BA, we should congratulate you for your contribution to March Madness, calling the games. It was fun to watch. And also we wish our friend Matt LePay and the Badgers well tonight.
All right, thank you, Sophia. I appreciate that. Tulowitzki drives one into right center field. Gomez running out of room. That ball is off the wall. And Tulowitzki into second base with a double. His second double of the game.
Yeah, he's off to a nice start, isn't he? Tulowitzki. A double down the line in left and a double in the gap in right center. Well, they make mistakes at his Rockies offense, and they are going to hammer you. His double the first time up was down and in. This one right down the middle. Tulowitzki did not try and pull it. And off the wall, high off the wall out there in right center.
So a double to start the third for Colorado. Getting back to Sophia's report on the Badgers and that incredible victory against Kentucky, Kentucky's first loss of the season, and now this matchup with Duke tonight. I can tell you the love is mutual. I was standing in the tunnel after that game, after that win over Kentucky, and the players are rolling by, and Bo Ryan comes by, and Bronson Koenig, and then Sam Decker. Now these guys are all big Brewers fans, right? So Sam Decker's running off the court. He runs right by me. He stops. He turns around. And he points at me and says, "BA, opening day Monday. I'll be busy." So
we had them all up here last year. Yeah,
he's got the Brewers on his mind, and they love talking Brewers. And I was just there, of course, the other day, and they all want to know how the club's going to be and who's going to be where, who's going to hit leadoff. These guys are really passionate Brewers fans, so we wish them the best.
Yeah, back-to-back Final Fours. This time playing for the big one tonight. We wish them all the best. Bo Ryan and his guys. Boy, what a run again. And incidentally, I agree with Sophia. Well done. Nice job.
Thanks, man. That was
real good.
Appreciate the opportunity there. That was a lot of fun. I got lucky with a bunch of good games this year. Sometimes you get a lot of blowout games, but not where I was this season. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Morneau. And the count evens at 2-2.
What is it, 8 o'clock, 8:10 tip off tonight?
Now you're going to have to take a little nap between this game and that one, Rock.
I'm not that old. I'll make it.
2-2. Morneau just lays the bat out there, and it's going to be Segura who cuts in front to make the catch. Jeanette went behind. Segura came in front. And the second out.
No, it didn't look like Scooter had any problems running after getting hit by that pitch. Well, just in case Segura wasn't able to get there, Scooter was waiting for it. But luckily, no collision.
First out, I beg your pardon. Tulowitzki still at second. Gotta like this combo here with Jeanette and Segura. You know, this is now going to be the keystone combo. Jeanette gets the job, the everyday job, now that Ricky Weeks has moved on. Ricky now with the Seattle Mariners this season. We saw him this spring. So Jeanette gets the chance to play every day at second base, and Ron Renicky has gone on the record to say both Jeanette and Adam Lind will not be strictly platoon players by no means. They are going to get a chance to face those tough left-handed starters.
Well, it's the only way you get comfortable against lefties, and that's to get some at-bats against them. Down in the minor leagues, Jeanette did just fine against left-handed pitching.
That one skips by. A wild pitch will send Tulowitzki to third base. Yeah, nothing going real well today for Kyle Loesch. He's just a little bit out of sorts.
Just doesn't have the command. I mean, the command that he had in spring training was impeccable. Of course, until that last start against the Cubs, but he's having a difficult time putting the baseball where he wants it. Throwing strikes, most of them up in the strike zone, and you don't see that all that often out of Kyle Loesch.
Runner at third brings the infield end. Brewers down 4-0, and a swing and a foul back by Arenado. Arenado had a 2-out RBI double, or rather 2-strike RBI double in the first inning. A 4-run first.
Yeah, 2-out double and then a 2-out home run to play 3 runs in the first inning for Colorado.
One away. The 2-1 pitch is in the air to left and trouble. Davis looks up and she is gone. A home run for Nolan Arenado. 2-run shot makes it 6-0 Colorado.
Well, we talked about how good this offense is with the Colorado Rockies, and they are showing it the first 3 innings. They are teeing off. There's that 2-seam grip, and watch where it ends up. Middle in, and it looks like Arenado waiting for it. Gets the bat head out and knocks it way out of here. Second deck out there in left field. A rough start to this one for Kyle Loesch.
6 runs on 7 hits thus far. as we play in the 3rd inning. Corey Dickerson takes a strike. So Arenado has a double and a homer in his first 2 at-bats of the year. Hit 18 home runs last year, despite missing some time with a broken hand. That ball's hit hard by Dickerson, right to Braun for out number 2.
Ball seemed to knuckle as it got out to Braun. He had some trouble with it. Hit that one right on the screws. Was Ryan able to handle it?
Here's Nick Hundley with 2 away. Now this is a monumental day for one member of the Colorado Rockies organization. Their new general manager, Jeff Bridich, is a Milwaukee native. And there's Jeff up there in the GM's box. And a base hit by Hundley to left. So Jeff Bridich is from here, born here, went to high school at Marquette High School, and went to college at Harvard, but he's from Whitefish Bay. His parents still live here. There's his dad next to him, his former baseball coach over at Marquette. 37-year-old general manager, first-year general manager, and what a moment this has to be for him to be able to have his first major league game as a general manager in his hometown.
Yeah, no kidding.
Of Milwaukee. Ground ball to third. Ramirez will go the easy way to end the inning. Rockies tack on 2 more. The Brewers got some work to do. Arenado goes deep. It's 6-0 Colorado. Don't just live, shine. By Piggly Wiggly, the official supermarket of Fox Sports Wisconsin. And by Hupy and Abraham, 800-800-5678. Hupy and Abraham, tell them you mean business. Miller Park, Milwaukee, and the Rockies swinging the bats well early. They have 6 on the board on 8 hits. And a lot of extra base hits in that mix as well. 6 of the 8 have been extra base hits against Kyle Lohse, who will lead off in this 3rd inning. Lohse, Gomez, Lucroy to start it. Brewers had the bases loaded with 1 out last inning. A 5-4-3 double play off the bat of Segura into the inning. So Kendrick back to work. 2 scoreless, 3 strikeouts. He's given up a walk. And the Brewers have 2 hits. And make it 3 hits. Kyle Lohse getting into the act. So the Brewer pitcher taking out a little frustration at the plate.
Yeah, hit that one well. Line drive. just out of the reach of LeMahieu. So there you go, your number 9 hitter. The pitcher gets a hit on a cutter that was up in the strike zone and goes right with it. It's like he was taught. Bingo. There's a leadoff single.
Loesch is aboard for Carlos Gomez, a strikeout victim in the first inning. And Gomez taking a hack, swinging out of his helmet. He's got the spring-loaded hair this year.
Yes, he does.
Kind of sets up a little cushion. He and Chris Davis sporting the same do. And Gomez fouls it away.
Kind of a mohawk, but not really. Not completely bald on the sides, but kind of an interesting look.
Carlos Gomez is he's tapping into some ancillary workout routines this spring. He got a little yoga in as well as he lines that one foul. I saw Carlos doing yoga on the field one day. Check him out, man. Now that's a look.
There's a do. Check it out.
Very zen-like. He's getting himself in a special spot. That's his hair, by the way. The Frohawk. 0-2 the count. And a swing and a miss. Gomez strikes out for the first out.
And it just continues to take a little bit off this Kyle Kendrick, who seems to have pretty good command here today. Double play got him out of trouble in the second inning. Got 4 strikeouts in 2 1/3. That's the thing about, off-speed pitchers in situations like this opening day. Hitters are all excited, amped up. They want to swing hard. Keep the baseball down. You take a little bit off, you can have a pretty good day out there. Kendrick has been able to keep the ball down. Kyle Loesch has not.
And Kendrick able to pick up more strikeouts than he is accustomed to. 4 Ks, to your point. Lucroy up there with Loesch at first. In tight, almost hit him. Lucroy so connected to the military and military charities, and you see that sleeve he's got and a little bit of the camo look. The camo pattern anyway. Jonathan does great work with a number of military charities, including Wounded Warrior. He took a trip this offseason with the group from Honor Flight, which takes veterans on a one-day trip up to Washington, D.C. Lucroy, during his offseason, volunteered to go on that trip and said it was an incredible moment for him. He brought his good friend who served overseas, wounded overseas.
His best friend from back home went to school with him.
Got a chance at a double play here. LeMahieu, Tulowitzki to Morneau, and back-to-back innings ended with a double play ball. 6-0 Rockies. 3 in the books at Miller Park on opening day. Miller Park on opening day. Kyle Loesch getting ready for his fourth inning. Our Carsoup.com trivia today. Who is the only pitcher in National League history to start more than 5 opening day games without a loss? The only pitcher in NL history to do that. Think about it, stew over it. We'll have the answer for you at some point. It's a pretty good on this day as well in the Brewers franchise history, Rock. It was on this day in 2001 that we opened Miller Park.
Up against the Cincinnati Reds, Richie Sexton with a home run to win it. I remember it was a night game, one of the few night games on opening day at Miller Park.
Now the president here at the time as Kendrick leads off. George Bush, W. Bush, and Kendrick hits one in the air to the left. That ball's pretty well hit. Davis is on the run, and this ball is off the fence. And that's going to be a double for the pitcher, Kyle Kendrick. And the hits keep coming for the Colorado Rockies. Well, it's significant that it is opening day here at Miller Park, and we have the owner with a headset on down in his seats by the dugout. Mark Attanasio, great to see you, Mark. Looking sharp, and this ballpark is full, and it's exciting to get the season started once again.
Thank you, Brian. And yeah, it's exciting to get the season started again. I'm not too excited the way we're playing today, but it's good to be playing baseball again.
Now, Mark, not going the way things are supposed to go to start a season, but overall, as I was talking to Doug Melvin earlier, as that pitch is in the dirt, and on his way to third goes Kendrick. But Mark, we were talking to Doug earlier, and you guys made a decision after last year to basically keep everybody in place and try to start this thing over again in a positive way. Talk about that decision, some of the discussions that you had this offseason, and then the results of what you've seen this spring.
Well, main thing to talk about, I think, is that everybody was healthy this spring, and that's a testament to our medical staff as well as to the players themselves taking good care of themselves. We felt like it's very hard to build a team and build team chemistry. There's even teams that can put, and we've seen a few this year, and we'll see how they do. It's very hard to bring a bunch of guys together, even if they play well, to develop chemistry. So we wanted to focus on the fact that we did have good chemistry, did have a number of players, and didn't have, Jonathan Broxton or Gerardo Parra really for much of the season last year. So we feel by having them back and adding Adam Lynn that we've added 3, quality players. It's not the way the writers look at it because they draw a line at, October 1st or whatever. But from the standpoint, the way we looked at it, we have a better club leaving spring training this year than we did leaving spring training last year.
And Mark, you extended the contract of Ron Renneke during spring training. What about Ron Renneke that makes him a good fit here in Milwaukee?
I think Ron's a good fit here. I think he'd be a good fit in a lot of places. I look qualitatively at how the guys respond to a manager. And I was at the series in Pittsburgh, middle of September. The guys were playing really hard on the road in a tough series that, we could have arguably swept. We ended up losing 2 out of 3, but we arguably could have swept. And, where we've had issues in the past looking backwards, you didn't have, even when we've had bad months with this squad, they've always played hard for Ron. And, we thought a lot about that this offseason.
Well, Loesch picks up a strikeout. Charlie Blackmon is out number 1.
Mark, your thoughts pregame today? I know your dad passed away this offseason. On the video board before the game, singing the national anthem. Your thoughts when you were down there with your family?
My mind was a bit of a blank down there. It was great to hear my dad singing one last time here. Amazing thing is he had lung cancer when he was singing that last year.
Is that right? Wow.
And we didn't really talk about that. He wasn't one to dwell on the negatives, only on the positives.
Everybody wearing the buttons. I see you have your button on as well, and the painting on the field, and he is remembered, and such a great man. What kind of legacy? And I know you're the owner of the ball club, but you are so much a part of him, and he was so proud of you and all of his kids, your siblings. As that one is into center field for a base hit, Gonzalez plates Kendrick, and it is 7-0. And
I
Mark, just talk
I need to channel my dad, who was always positive no matter what.
All right, give us a little Joe Attanasio. What would he be saying to us right now in a 7-0 game?
Joe would be saying we're going to have a good time tonight no matter how this turns out. You know, one of the things I've thought a lot about these past few months is the fact that my dad was able to share these 10 seasons here with me, and so many folks, so many people lose their parents earlier in life. They don't get to see their grandkids or see whatever they end up accomplishing in life. And I really, it's very special. I feel very blessed that my dad got to share the Brewers with me for 10 seasons.
Well, it's a special time. In the big picture, that's really what matters most is family. I know you have your family here. As we have a pitching change, we head to break. Mark, we thank you for your time. We're looking forward to a great season today, notwithstanding, but we got a lot of baseball to be played yet.
We're going to have better times than this, guys. Thank you.
All right. Mark Attanasio, as we see Michael Blazek coming in for the Brewers. We'll take a break. Loesch is out. We'll set up the new hurler. Tough day for Kyle Loesch comes to an end here. 7 runs, 3 1/3 innings for Loesch. Still has a runner that's his responsibility. And the new pitcher rock is Michael Blazek, and quite a comeback story here for Blazek, who now enters into the long relief role for the Brewers at the big league level. His first major league opening day roster spot.
Yeah, he's kind of a guy nobody was talking about in the offseason, but because he can eat up some innings in a situation like this, Blazek and Thornburg, the long relievers, did not appear in the major leagues last year as a member of the Brewers. 18 relief appearances back in 2013 with the Cardinals and the Brewers, and had a pretty good spring. Made 2 starts in spring training.
He's got a big fastball, mid to upper 90s, and he starts Tulowitzki with a breaking ball. Tulowitzki has 2 hits today. The Rockies have 10 hits already as we play in the 4th inning. 7 runs on 10 hits. Tulowitzki with 2 doubles. One down the left field line that produced a run in the first, and then he had a double into right center and scored a run in the 3rd. Another curveball in there for a strike.
And that's what the Brewers liked about Blazek in spring training, throwing the off-speed stuff for strikes. Everybody knows how hard he can throw. Mid-90s with some movement on it. But he was throwing the breaking pitches for strikes, curveballs and sliders.
And a fastball is turned around by Tulowitzki. A liner to left, his 3rd hit of the day. And the Rockies have found the sweet spot this afternoon.
It can't be that easy. He makes it look easy when he's healthy. Tulowitzki, some kind of hitter. There's that 2-seam grip. He got on the side of it. Not a whole lot of movement. It did tail in on him, but Tulowitzki quick on the inside corner. Pulls the hands in and rips it into left field.
2 on, 1 out. A run is in. And here's Justin Morneau. Interesting that Blazek, as he might have crossed up Lucroy there.
Yep.
At a meeting at the mound. Blazek came to the Brewers from the St. Louis Cardinals, and the guy he was traded for is in the ballpark today. He was in a deal that involved John Axford, and Axford is now in the bullpen with the Colorado Rockies.
Yeah, Axe has bounced around a little bit. Cardinals, Pirates.
There's the Axeman.
Had a great spring, did Axford.
Single season saves leader for the Milwaukee Brewers still at 49 as a Brewer. Morneau sends one deep to right field. Braun at the track makes a catch. Gonzalez will tag and go to third. That's the second out. Morneau got that one off the end of the bat. Otherwise, that's a 3-run home run. Instead, a long, loud out. 2 outs in the inning. First and third for Nolan Arenado.
Yeah, that's that late movement that Blazek has with a fastball. Just a little bit off the barrel of the bat with that late movement. Had Morneau out in front. Well, you're right. That would have been a 3-pointer.
Arenado 2 for 2, a double and a homer. 3 runs batted in for Arenado already. I'm sure Blazek is fighting the nerves as well. He did a lot of work to get to this point. He was always known as a guy who had a big fastball, but command was always an issue. Still is. I mean, he hasn't proven he can do it at the major league level, but he's kind of reinvented himself, gone from a late inning reliever, high leverage reliever in the minor leagues to a starting pitcher, and in this role as a long reliever, a guy who can go multiple innings, and a guy that you could enter into the starting rotation if one of the 5 members of the rotation would happen to be injured. He and Tyler Thornburg and Taylor Youngman, who's starting the year in AAA. Those are the insurance policies as starters.
And that was an area of concern going into spring training. Marco Estrada traded to Toronto. He was the long reliever spot starter for the Brewers the last couple of years.
Little breaking ball, flare, shallow center. That's a base hit, and another run is in. And it's bobbled in center field. Nobody at second base. Arenado keeps running, and the Brewers are not playing well here today at all.
Man, not a good day by any stretch. That could be an error right there. But pretty good at bat by Arenado. Watch the way he throws the bat at this breaking pitch. That was a good pitch by Blazek. Out of the reach of Jeanette, and on the bobble in center field, Arenado gets into second base.
And that will be an error on Gomez. Second error of the day for the Brewers. Single RBI, E8. 8-0 Colorado. That'll close the book on Kyle Loesch. 8 earned runs allowed and 3 1/3 today.
Only 12 hits already for Colorado, and we're still working here in the 4th inning. Wow.
Corey Dickerson at the plate, had a 2-run home run in the first. Ball and a strike. A lot of games in progress around the major leagues right now. A lot will be underway shortly, within the next 20 minutes or so. Season officially started last night with the Cardinals and the Cubs at Wrigley Field. Cardinals with a shutout behind Adam Wainwright. John Lester took the loss. Wrigley Field going through some renovations. I like the way they did it, though. The bleachers aren't ready yet, but they kind of made it a tribute to Ernie Banks, who passed away this offseason.
Yeah, Brewers head to Wrigley Field in April this month.
I always check those April dates at Wrigley Field. You hope to get a little bit of a warm-up spell.
Actually, it's in May, 1st of May.
Yeah, May 1st through the 3rd at Wrigley. Full count. Dickerson swings to his knee. Can't be a good feeling for a pitcher. Second and third with 2 away. 2 more runs are in. It's 8-0. Those games at Wrigley, by the way, that'll conclude 22 consecutive games against the Central Division after these 3 with the Rockies to start the year. In the air, left center, well hit, slicing. Gomez can't get there. It bounces up and out. And that error by Gomez, allowing the runner to second, is going to turn into 2 runs here. So it is 10-0. Dickerson with a 2-strike, 2 RBI ground rule double.
Well, Gomez on his horse, getting out there into the gap in left center. Well, going down so he doesn't run into the wall, and just does miss it. Kind of pulled the glove back a little bit as he got there. Didn't want to mess too much with that wall out there and left.
One of those days already. Man, oh man. This is about as ugly as it gets. 10 runs on 13 hits. We're in the 4th inning. Colorado with their second 4-run inning. Nick Hundley has a line out and a single here today. If only there were a mulligan button we could hit.
Yeah, reset button, maybe a video game. Be about 45,000 people pushing it right now.
Tailgating was epic today, wasn't it? Blazek's come on, giving up 3 hits and 2 runs. One ball, 2 strikes. Hundley on the ground. And Segura will make the play to end the inning, but the Rockies strike again. 4 more on the board. 10-0 Colorado as we go to the bottom of the 4th inning.
zip as we head to the Brewers part of the fourth. But that brings us to today's time of the game winner, B.A. It's Bill's Bar in Spring Valley.
I've been waiting for that one. I didn't know you bought a bar this offseason.
We did not have any of these in spring training, so first of the year. Hey, if they call the Brewers in the next 24 hours, they get 40 Miller Lite beer pen tickets to a Brewers home game this year. This offer courtesy of the Tavern League of Wisconsin and Miller Lite.
That describes so many destinations around Wisconsin. Bill's Bar.
Right. Yep. It's in far western Wisconsin.
It's not really your bar, is it?
No.
Okay. Ryan Braun leads off. Trying to give him something to cheer about here. It's been a rough start. 10-0 Rockies. Braun, his second plate appearance.
I actually don't own any businesses.
Well, now that surprises me.
I've donated a lot to places like Bill's Bar, but I don't actually own them.
Braun pops it up, and Morneau will give it a look. And he's got it. LeMahieu coming in behind him, but Morneau for the first out. Here comes Aramis Ramirez, his final opening day. He's going to retire at the end of the year. Check the Powerball home run leaderboard. Ramirez with 15 last year. Gomez led the way with 23. Davis had 22. You're hoping those numbers will be bumped up from those four. They're expecting big production from those four, especially. Going to have it.
Yep,
if you're going to contend this year.
Got to have the guys that are supposed to drive in the runs, drive them in this year. Well, the Brewers are very happy with their offense coming into 2015. I mean, up and down that lineup, 1 through 8. Good hitters up and down. Haven't shown it yet today, but got a long way to go. Chris Davis played with a lot of confidence in spring training. You could see a big difference in him this spring as opposed to last spring.
Ramirez in the foul territory. And that'll bounce off the dugout. Ouch. 0-2 the count. Well, Aramis probably has some emotion about this day, knowing it'll be his final opening day of his career. 17 seasons in the big leagues. He seems pretty content with his decision, though.
Yeah.
We asked him a number of times, you know, what if you have a great year? What if you hit 35 homers? He goes, nope, I'm done.
I'm done. Wants to spend time with the family. They're not getting any younger and wants to be a part of their lives. Can't blame him.
He's had a terrific career, Ramirez. He's only been an all-star 3 times. I think a lot of that is because he has historically gotten off to slow starts in his career, so not putting up the gaudy numbers leading up to the all-star break. But his numbers stand tall against third baseman in Major League history. And a little soft liner is going to fall. A base hit. Aramis is 2 for 2 to start the season.
Yeah, after a relatively slow spring training, Ron Rentke has said that he's going to be very careful as to how often he plays Aramis Ramirez. There's a split-fingered fastball from Kyle Kendrick. Didn't even know he had that pitch. Leaves that one up in the zone, and Ramirez is able to muscle it into left field. Ron Rentke said that the fact that he's getting up there in age, wants to make sure he stays healthy and strong, and he'll give him some days off even before he actually needs a day off.
Adam Lind takes a ball. Yeah, that was a schedule they came together. How many games you figure Ramirez to play in what would be a successful season for him?
130, 135, something around there.
So that means the Brewers are going to have to rely on a third baseman as Lynn sends one to right and be caught by Gonzalez.
They give him day games after night games off, and tough travel nights, maybe give him a day off.
That's where a guy like Luis Jimenez comes in. The Brewers also have Hector Gomez, who can play third base. Jimenez and Gomez. There's Luis right there. He's making his first opening day roster. He's been to the big leagues, but first opening day roster. Spent time in the Angels organization. Big swing by Davis. Chris, a strikeout victim in the second. Pops this one up. LeMahieu, Morneau, nobody's got it. That ball's going to fall. Morneau was looking at his second baseman, who was toward the bag on a little bit of a shift, and he had a long way to go, and that ends up as a single for Chris Davis.
Yeah, that is a tough play for a first baseman. Morneau holding the runner. LeMahieu and Morneau not sure who wants it. That's a tough play for the first baseman. And Carlos Gonzalez, he's not even going to come close. That'll be a single for Davis, but probably should have been at second base. That ball was up in the air a long time.
So it's first and third here for Scooter Gennett. Brewers get a gift from the Rockies defense. Ramirez to third in a 10-0 game. Brewers trying to put one across the pay station for the first time. Gennett walked, actually was hit by a pitch his last time up. Kendrick got him on the just under the knee with his lead leg with a fastball. Back in there he goes. Ball and a strike on Scooter Gennett.
This is where Scooter's very good at just serving one into left field. They're not playing him very deep in the outfield, very shallow. So they get one down that line, driving a couple of runs. Scooter's very good on getting on top of that pitch that's away from him.
Last year, Gennett, playing mostly against right-handed pitchers, hit .289. And he's a little guy, but he's got some pop in his bat. He hit 9 homers last year, 54 RBIs. That was in 137 games. 110 of those games were starts at second base. Sharing time with Ricky Weeks. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And a called strike 3. Gennett is rung up. Inning is over. The Brewers strand 2 more. Shutout still intact for Kendrick. 10-0 Colorado.
At MIL Hotel and Casino. Book your stay now. We head to the top of the 5th here at Miller Park on opening day, down 10-0. The Brewers Community Foundation would like to thank our fans for participating in the Every Game Day 50-50 raffle. You can look for the sellers in the bright orange t-shirts. Opening day has always generated the largest pot for one lucky winner. Many non-profit organizations focusing on health, education, recreation, and basic needs in the community. They're projecting a winning pot today of $40,000. So you can play the Brewers Community Foundation's 50-50 raffle presented by Northwestern Mutual. PA.
All right, Sophia, thanks. And here we go to the 5th inning. Michael Blazek back on the mound for the Brewers. Kyle Loesch surrendering 8 earned runs in 3 1/3. Tough day for him. One of his worst starts of his career, actually. Bouncing ball through for a base hit. DJ LeMahieu with his second hit. He's 2 for 3. And the hits keep coming for Colorado. That is their 14th base hit of the game.
And that was a base hit on a breaking pitch. These Rockies, they're red on everything. Fastballs, breaking pitches. I mean, the Colorado Rockies, as we mentioned early in the game, led the National League in just about everything as far as offense. Batting average, runs scored, home runs, hits. And they are haven't slowed down a bit.
Bounce to first. Lind fires to second. The back toss is late. And they still have to.
Not sure what LeMahieu was doing. I think maybe he thought Lind he had tagged first base.
Right.
And then try to get in the rundown. But Adam Lind making a throw right to second base. Not close enough to the bag to really go to first base initially and then throw to second. They almost turned a double play. Good play by Michael Blazek to get over there.
Well, I guess if nothing else, LeMahieu trying to distract the throw back from Segura, but put out immediately. So you exchange a position player for a pitcher at first base. Top of the order, Charlie Blackmon.
That's a nice beard right there.
He started growing that beard for charity in November. You know, the Movember,
right? The
facial hair, and started doing that. I think it was maybe 3 years ago. I'm not sure he's shaved since.
Maybe a trim here and there.
He's trying to
clean it up,
recruit others to grow beards like that. Oh, there's one. Will. That's what Santa Claus looked like before his beard turned gray. On the ground, back up the middle and a base hit. First hit for Charlie Blackmon.
His 4th at bat already, and we're in the 5th inning.
And every Rockies starter has a hit with the exception of Justin Morneau, who's 0 for 3.
Including the pitcher.
First and second now with one away for Carlos Gonzalez. Right off the end of the bat, coming in Ramirez for out number 2. Had him fooled. 2 gone in the inning. Hey, a reminder, Saturday MLB returns to Fox Sports 1 with a doubleheader as the Red Sox take on the Yankees. That'll be in the Bronx, followed by a playoff rematch as the Royals battle Mike Trout and the Angels. Coverage begins Saturday 11:30 a.m. Central. Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Yankees losing today to the Blue Jays 6-1 at Yankee Stadium. Red Sox are out in front of the Phillies today. An interleague matchup to start it in Philadelphia. Boston has a 2-0 lead over Cole Hamels and the Phillies. A lot of folks thought Cole Hamels might be in a Red Sox uniform. Orioles leading Tampa Bay in the 4th inning, 1-0. And the finals that are in, Detroit shut out Minnesota 4-0. David Price was the story in that game. How about an opening day start of 8 2/3 innings and just 5 hits?
Yeah.
An out away from a complete game on opening day.
That's a pretty good pitching staff in Detroit.
Yeah, without Scherzer now, but they've got a lot of firepower and expect to contend in that division again. The central divisions of each league have certainly improved in the American League and figures to be one of the tougher divisions in the National League. As Tulowitzki lines one to right, and that will retire the side. Blazek gets through the 5th without a run scoring, still 10-0. Well, it's opening day. Got a lot of families here at the ballpark. Things aren't going well on the old scoreboard so far. 10-0. The Rockies have the lead, kind of spoiling the party a little bit here in Milwaukee. But it is great to get the season going once again in 2015. Kyle Kendrick with 4 scoreless on the board. He has 5 strikeouts thus far. Twice he's been able to get out of innings with double plays. Brewers had him loaded in the 2nd in a 6-0 game. And he got Gene Segura to hit into a 5-4-3 double play to end it. Segura bats for the 2nd time to start the bottom of the 5th.
You got to tip your hat to what Kyle Kendrick's been able to do today, though. I mean, getting ahead in the count, has not walked a batter. And mixing his pitches nicely, keeping the Brewers off balance. Been impressive what he's done so far. And the Brewers have a pretty good offensive attack themselves.
Well, pitching will be the key for both teams. I think both of these teams are confident in their offense. Rockies have a very good defensive group. They are about as good as it gets defensively, and they have Gold Glovers at 2nd and short and 3rd. And Morneau is not a bad first baseman either. But it all boils down to pitching, especially starting pitching.
Especially in Coors Field, right? I mean, you figure you're going to score some runs there. Starting pitching, bullpen very important.
There's a strike called as Segura watches one go by on the corner. And Kendrick with his 6th strikeout. His command has been spot on today.
On everything. I mean, look at this fastball right on the corner. Hundley doesn't even have to move the glove. I mean, that's impressive right there on the edge. And Gene Segura watches it go by. Dale Scott rings him up.
Going to have a pinch hitter here. So Michael Blazek's day is over. In relief of Loesch, Logan Schaefer will bat for him in this 5th inning. And Neil Kotz, left-handed pitcher, free agent pickup for the Brewers. Looks like he'll be in next. Good day to empty out the bench, the bullpen, get everybody involved in the season as Schaefer pops this one up. LeMahieu for out number 2. Well, back to our Carsoup.com trivia question. We asked you who is the only pitcher in NL history to start more than 5 opening day games without a loss. The answer would be Ben Sheets. 6 opening day starts. He won 3 of them. I'll never forget my first game in the major leagues with the Brewers was a Ben Sheets start. He beat the Dodgers that day 2-1. That was 2007. Gomez breaks his bat, fly ball to left, and Kendrick rips right through the order. 1, 2, 3. The Brewers go quietly in the 5th. Man, this play by Adam Lind. He got the out at first, fired it home, and the out at second, or out at home plate, I should say. A double play there for the Brewers. One of a few bright spots so far.
Yeah, good hands by Adam Lind and a good snap throw over to Lucroy. You know, the one part of that play that we really didn't talk about was the fact Lucroy wasn't blocking off home plate before he had the baseball. That's something that these catchers over the last couple of years have had to think about as Gerardo Parra takes over in right. Ryan Braun's done for the day. So you have to relearn how to play, behind home plate. I mean, all the things that you were taught over the years. Can't block the plate as Neil Kotz takes over here in the 6th inning. There's his numbers last year with the Rangers. A .432 earned run average for Kotz and over 70 appearances. He did have a rough spring training.
Yeah, this is one of those outings for Kotz. Certainly on the major league roster, signed a 2-year deal with the Brewers, but even though it's opening day and you kind of draw the line in the sand and this is where the season starts, I think the Brewers are still in work mode with Neil Kotz, trying to get him comfortable, trying to get him to the point where he can succeed again. His last outing at spring training was a good one, and a 3-up 3-down inning.
You know what you do with a veteran when he has a rough spring training? You just kind of forget about it, until the regular season starts, because you look at the numbers for a lot of relievers in baseball. I mean, the veteran guys. You look at these relievers for the Rockies. Numbers terrible.
Good fastball eats up Morneau, and there is the first out.
Veteran guys just have a different way of going about their business in spring training. At least that's what you hope.
Well, it gives him a chance to get on the mound start the season. You're in a low leverage situation, as they say. But ultimately, the Brewers would like Kotz in a high leverage situation. They feel like he is going to be one of those left-handers, not just to face lefties. He could emerge into that role, you know, if you get in the pennant race and you start to get into crunch time. But for the most part, Roenicke doesn't have a guy that's going to be used as a situational pitcher at this point.
Right.
Kotz will be in the Zach Duke spot. The Brewers lost Zach Duke after the season.
Will Smith and Kotz are expected to get right-handers out, just like they're expected to get lefties out. And they both have shown that they can do that.
Kotz is a pretty impressive comeback story. Had a hip surgery and then had an infection in that hip. It was a long process to get back to the major leagues. He did so with the Texas Rangers. Put up some impressive numbers to get back to the big leagues. That was in the Rangers minor league system a couple of years ago. Kotz is 35 years of age, just turned 35 in March, and he went from the 2009 season when he was pitching for the Cubs to the 2013 season in July between appearances in the major leagues. So about 3.5 years away from the big leagues. Ground ball to third. Ramirez's throw is there for the second out. 2 up, 2 down.
Yep, like we were saying, I mean, the regular season is just different for some of these veterans. Able to get it in on the hands that time. Busting Arenado inside. Ate him up.
Kotz came up with the White Sox in 2003, and he was on that White Sox World Series winning team in 2005. He made 4 appearances in that World Series that year. Did not allow a run to the Houston Astros in those 4 games pitched in the World Series. Covered an inning and a third. He was used by Ozzie Guillen that year, and in that postseason as a true situational left-handed pitcher. So he's got some postseason experience with the White Sox and the Cubs. He was with the Cubs in 08 when they went to the playoffs, eventually losing to the Dodgers in the division series. Corey Dickerson with 2 away. A good fastball by Dickerson. 1-2 the count.
Kind of sneaky, the fastball for Kotz. I mean, left-handers go up there and they're thinking slider, 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 and all of a sudden he can sneak that fastball by you. Numbers for Kotz not very good in spring training, but when you look at his outings, a lot of softly hit baseballs ended up falling for base hits.
And it was really the command, the walks that hurt him the most in spring training. He was going out for an inning at a time. His pitch is a cutter, a cut fastball that you just don't see much from left-handers. And he can really move that thing in on a right-handed batter. He'll break a lot of bats from a right-handed hitter's perspective.
Man, that's the pitch that he was able to get Arenado. That cutter.
The 1-2, and it's fouled away a little bit late. The Brewers have the 2 lefties in the bullpen. Kotz would be the early lefty. Will Smith is the late lefty. K-Rod closes. Broxton is the setup man. And then you got a number of combinations that Roenicke can use. Whether it's Will Smith in the 7th or Jeremy Jefferson. Both of those pitchers can elevate into a setup role if need be. If you get into a string where guys are pitching in consecutive days. I think the Brewers are very pleased with their bullpen right now.
And not just the guys that are here in Milwaukee. They sent some guys down to AAA that had very good springs. Rob Wooten probably pitched as well as anybody in spring training, but no room for him. Chris Perez, a former closer for the Indians.
Brandon Kensler begins here in AAA. He's trying to, after a lot of success in the big leagues, trying to get his stuff back again.
Yeah, 3 guys that have big league experience that are now in the minor leagues for the Brewers. So some depth in the bullpen.
Little tapper, and Neil Kotz just does get it there in time for the out. And a 1-2-3 inning, the first of the day. The original light Pilsner. Cheers! It's Miller time. And by the Wisconsin Lottery, reminding you to please play responsibly. Well, spring training in the books, opening day, Miller Park. And no opening day would be complete without the famous racing sausages.
Nice come from behind victory for the Polish today.
Oh, nice. Yeah, a little advance warning. A finishing kick by the Polish.
Check him out.
Terrible performance by Chorizo today. Just really embarrassing. For the first day, I mean, he had all offseason to get ready.
Yeah, you'd think. They were down in spring training.
Right. And Lucroy on the first pitch. A line drive out to left. 1 pitch, 1 out. Kyle Kendrick just rolling right along here.
73 pitches right now for Kendrick as he works here in the 6th inning. You figure pitch count get up there near 100. We'll see what Walt Weiss elects to do with him, but he's had a terrific outing so far today. That's an understatement.
Gerardo Parra batting for the first time. Ryan Braun done for the day. Kind of has a spring training feel. Some of the starters leave at some point. I don't believe there is an injury situation with Braun. We have not been told. So
you might want to minimize the at bats. I mean, you know, just protect the thumb a little bit. The game is in hand for the Rockies at this point.
Braun 0 for 2 today. Parra batting in his spot. 3 spot in the batting order. Brewers have 5 hits today. Ramos Ramirez has 2 of them, both singles. Adam Lind has a single. Kyle Lohse chipped in with a base hit. Tough day on the mound, but he got his first hit of the season.
No consolation for him.
There'll be better days.
Yep.
Two to Parra. On a line right to Tulowitzki for the second out. I saw Mike Trout homered off Felix Hernandez in Seattle. So the MVP in the American League from a year ago is off with a bang. A home run in Seattle for the Angels' first run. That was in the first inning, his first at bat. There you see Ramirez at the plate today, courtesy of Wendy's. A couple of singles.
Say spring training doesn't mean much. Had a rough spring, at least with the batting average. I mean, he got his work in. Got through it healthy. Made some pretty good plays defensively at third base. But 2 for 2 in the regular season.
Can always tell it's opening day. Ramirez breaking out a group of brand new bats. And Ramirez, who's been kind of an old school guy, is going with that little wrap on the handle this year. You see so many big leaguers doing that these days. That's only come into vogue here in the last 3 or 4 years. Yeah. That's something you'd see on an aluminum bat back in the day. On the ground, the Gold Glover Tulowitzki makes the play, and Kendrick is through 6 innings of scoreless baseball.
Hey, relive the magic of the '87 Brewers team streak on Rob Deere Bobblehead Day. That's courtesy of Toyota. This Sunday, as the Brewers play host to the Pittsburgh Pirates, plus as part of Spring Madness 414. Select tickets are 50% off. Visit Brewers.com for tickets. The Rooster.
The Rooster, one of the great moments in the franchise team streak. The Rooster and Dale Swain. That was on Easter of '87. We're a day after Easter, but April 19th of '87, a late Easter that year, and Rob Deere hit one pretty much out of the stadium.
Bucking a stiff breeze coming in, tied the game. Then Dale Swaim, a couple of batters later, would knock one out of there for the victory on Easter Sunday. I was there. Had a comfortable seat in the bullpen for that one.
Team streak. And the year Molitor had the 38 gamer, the winning streak to start the season. A couple of losing streaks in there as well.
Had a big one. Had a big 12-game losing streak in May.
Wasn't just a good streak. There were some bad streaks,
right.
but
Yep.
that was a fun team.
Yeah, Paul Molitor comes off the disabled list right after the All-Star game in '87, and then continued. He went 39 straight games with a base hit. Never forget it. What a year.
Yeah, 39 in a row. That's right. Beg your pardon.
What'd you say?
I said 38.
Close enough.
Yeah, the possibility at 40 is really, that's the good story.
Yeah.
As Kotz hits the edge and a strikeout. So Neil Kotz is looking sharp here.
Looks like a different guy out there on the mound. From Arizona to Milwaukee. He's retired 4 straight.
And his first K. Now the Molitor streak ended in what, I don't know, probably has to be the only time in the history of baseball where a walk-off hit, certainly not known as a walk-off back then, but a walk-off hit was booed.
Yeah. Yeah, Rick Manning got a base hit, won the game with Paul Molitor on deck in the 9th inning. And was promptly booed off of the County Stadium diamond.
Molitor was 0 for that day, and
yeah,
thinking he'd have a chance to go to 40 if he would have batted one more time. Well, Paul taking over the managerial duties with the Minnesota Twins, and a loss today, shut out by the Tigers and David Price. We wish him the best. Number 4, the igniter.
Yeah. Molitor and Yount.
What kind of manager, as you get another strikeout here as Kotz picks up back-to-back Ks. What kind of manager do you think Molitor's going to be?
It'll be interesting because he's never managed anywhere. He's the bench coach. He's one of now 4 guys that are big league managers that never managed before. You know, Mike Matheny was one of them. But he certainly commands a lot of respect, Paul Molitor. I don't care where he is, Milwaukee, Minnesota, no matter where he goes. And I think he's going to do a pretty good job. Of course, you need the players in order to be a good manager, right?
No doubt.
Define good manager. Is he going to win the division? Probably not.
Very competitive.
He's got a lot
American
of teaching to do in the with the Twins. Some young players.
Now, one thing he did, he banned cell phones, smartphones, iPads from the clubhouse. I don't know if that's still going on or not, but that's impressive. That's gutsy. I can't even ban a cell phone with one kid in my house.
Not even at dinner time?
Nah, it's pretty, well, yeah, we at dinner.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I mean, to ban it all together, that's a little, unrealistic. Dinner time, family time, right? Phones off, except for yours, of course.
You got to have mine on. Very important. A very important person. Little soft liner, and it's off the glove of Segura. And Kendrick is swinging the bat. He's got 2 hits. He's pitching a shutout. First hit allowed by Neil Kotz. A reminder that this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Brewers and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent of the Brewers.
Oh, Paulie's got some big shoes to fill over there in Minnesota, though. Ron Gardenhire. I mean, you talk about a quality guy, class act.
Had a nice run there with the Twins.
Yeah.
Charlie Blackmon takes a strike from Kotz. They announced the crowd today as the 3rd largest in Miller Park history. 46,032. Not a whole lot to cheer about, unfortunately, today.
No. And I would imagine even more than that in the parking lots today. How many people set up shop and just listen to the game on the radio and continue their tailgate?
Yeah, 46,000 inside and another 20, 30,000 outside, probably. Speaking of the radio, it's a milestone today for Bob Uecker as well. Over on Brewers radio, Bob Uecker celebrating his 60th season in professional baseball. That's mind-boggling. 60 years he has been in professional baseball as a player or a broadcaster. Been a broadcaster since 1971.
Yeah, and loves every minute of it.
That's not the real Bob Uecker. That's one of the 2 statues of Bob Uecker. That's up in the Uecker seats.
You ever been up there?
I have. It's it's a little unnerving up there when you.
I was up there for the unveiling, and I was holding on to Uke with dear life.
That's right.
For dear life.
There's a called strike 3. Neil Kotz, impressive 2 innings. 6 out of 7 he retires, and he strikes out the side here in the 7th inning. Well, we invite you to stay here. We have Miller Park's presentation of God Bless America. Retired U.S. Air Force and Miller Park Guest Services attendant Bob Kozlowski will perform God Bless America. Enjoy.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Hey, Brewers.
Here, Hank. There's the real Hank, and then there's the mascot Hank.
Yeah. Hey, opening week continues tomorrow through Wednesday as the Brewers battle these Rockies. Then the division rival Pirates come to Miller Park for Spring Madness 414 Friday through Sunday. To reserve your spot for opening week, visit Brewers.com today.
Adam Lynn will lead off. Kendrick back on the mound to start his 7th inning. Don't forget, as you come to Miller Park, new security measures in place. Make sure you come a little earlier than you are accustomed to. You got to go through the security checkpoints outside Miller Park. So give them a little time. Be courteous. Be patient. Takes a little time to go through there, and you can always help out by having all of your things in a good position to drop inside the little basket to walk through all the security checkpoints.
It's an MLB rule this year, not just the Brewers.
So do everybody a favor, including yourself.
We've been doing that now for a couple of years. Going through the metal detectors and check the bags.
It's the world we live in now, so make it easy for everyone if you can. Got the Rockies here tomorrow and Wednesday. Night games tomorrow and Wednesday night. and then a day off Thursday. And then we'll welcome in the Pittsburgh Pirates, division rivals coming in. Pirates will be here Friday, Saturday, Sunday afternoon as Adam Lind is having a terrific debut as a Brewer. His second hit, 2 out of 3. Even his out was a hard hit line drive to right.
Man, you watch Adam Lind and his approach. I mean, he keeps that bat in the hitting zone a long time. Kendrick, one of the few mistakes he's made. Nice level swing, keeps the bat in the hitting zone. Watch the top hand come off. That keeps it level. He actually takes that top hand off after contact and rolls that one into center field. He is a good hitter. Has a good idea up there at the plate and uses the opposite field very well.
Here's Chris Davis now with Adam Lind at first. And a bouncer, Morneau goes to second, and that's all the Rockies will get on the first pitch. Davis reaches on a fielder's choice. Sophia's with us. She's got a little more on Adam Lind. What do you have, Sophia?
Well, yeah, it's just been a terrific debut for Adam Lind. The 2 hits, also the double play in the second to cut down a run. And Ron Renicky said, you know, man, this guy can really hit. He said watching him with the Toronto Blue Jays, he thinks he's going to be a great fit in this lineup, especially a left-handed bat along with Scooter Gennett against a division that is primarily right-handed pitching. And, you know, he spoke about the back, too, how much he's concerned about it as the season starts here. He said it's not a matter of resting Lind or an issue of him playing too much. He said it's truly just a matter of him defending the ball, whether he gets into a bad position or bending over, that he may tweak the back. So he said as long as we try to avoid any flare-ups, he's not too concerned about Lind's health here.
Well, Adam Lind has had a history of back problems. It's one of the reasons why the Brewers were pretty confident to bring him in. It's going to be a challenge for the athletic training staff, but the Brewers are very confident in their medical department. As Gennett sends one to right, going back, Gonzalez with room, and Scooter is retired.
And the interesting thing about that back for Lind is that it never really bothers him swinging the bat. When he's at the plate, taking those big hacks, it doesn't bother him too much. He says fielding his position and running from time to time is what gives him problems. But you have to play defense in order to get at bats in this league.
Well, you can get Lucroy some time at first. Lucroy is a guy that you want to have his bat in the lineup as much as you can, and you try to protect him a little bit from the workload behind the plate, even though Lucroy wants to catch as much as possible. But he understands, and getting to first base gives him a break from the catching position, not just the physical demands of catching, but also the mental demands, going through the scouting report and pouring through all of the pages of information for the starting pitcher as well. It gives him a little bit of a mental breather as well. And then you keep his bat in the lineup. So I'm sure Renicky will utilize Lucroy quite often at first, especially when there's a tough lefty on the mound.
And plus you have Luis Jimenez, who has played first base and is very good against left-handed pitching. We saw Gerardo Parra get some time at first base in spring training. So there are options in the event that Adam Lind is having a tough time.
Luis Jimenez will make his Brewers debut next as Segura lines one to right, a base hit. Gene Segura with a single, his first hit of the season. And it's first and second for the Brewers.
Yeah, this is something that Segura didn't do much of last year. There's that cut fastball. Watch the way he stays back. His balance is very good at the point of contact, and even through the swing, you can see he's not lunging to the baseball, not drifting the body toward the pitcher when he swings. You can't hit the ball to right field with any kind of authority when you're drifting. He stays back and hits it hard into right. That's what he's was doing throughout spring training.
Luis Jimenez making his Brewers debut, his first opening day roster in the major leagues. Originally signed as a catcher, can play third and first. You could throw him in the outfield if you needed to. And has been a guy that is developing a reputation as a very good hitter against left-handed pitchers. So his starts will probably come against left-handed starting pitchers.
Yeah, put him at third base once in a while. Give Aramis Ramirez some time off.
His first home run will be his first as a major leaguer, even though he has 52 games in the big leagues. Pops it up. Tulowitzki in the grass. And Kyle Kendrick keeps putting up zeros. 7 shutout innings. A 7-hitter. Still 10-0 Colorado. For the Brew Crew today, 10-0 as we go to the 8th inning. Our Miller Lite What's on Tap. Here's how it sets up tomorrow. Jordan Lyles for the Rockies against Matt Garza for Milwaukee. And then Wednesday, final game of the series with Colorado will be Willie Peralta and Eddie Butler. 6:30 tomorrow on Fox Sports Wisconsin for Brewers Live. Luis Jimenez will stay in the game after his first at-bat of the season. He'll play third base. And the new pitcher rock is Will Smith.
Yeah, look at the workload for Will Smith. A year ago, his first year really predominantly working out of the bullpen. Might have caught up to him in the second half, but boy, what a first half he had overall. 370 earned run average. 86 punch outs in 65 2/3 innings. A good season for Will Smith.
Led the league in appearances last year at 78. Going to be a big part of that Brewers bullpen. Brewers have had to dig deep into their bullpen today. You don't really worry about that much early in the season. There are so many built-in off days early in the schedule. Got the first one coming up on Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday, then Tuesday in St. Louis, an off day. They pile up the off days early in the season, right? You don't need them, but it's all about the weather.
Right. Trying to protect some opening days. Drew Stubbs is pinch hitting. It's one of those American Legion days today. Everybody gets to play. Stubbs, the 4th outfielder. Rockies are only carrying 4 outfielders. They have 3 catchers. And Stubbs takes a strike.
The former Cincinnati Red.
Cincinnati to Cleveland and then to Colorado. One of the fastest players in the major leagues, Drew Stubbs.
Got incredible power. Not too many better defensively in the outfield. But just can't find his way into this Rockies lineup.
It's a pretty tight outfield they have, right? With Dickerson and Blackman, Gonzalez. I mean, all 3 of those guys are all-star potential players. As Stubbs strikes out, And the two Brewer lefties in the bullpen are racking up the Ks here. The last 4 outs have been strikeouts.
I'll tell you, good to see Neil Kotz throwing the baseball the way he did. There's that Will Smith slider right there, down and in. Stubbs has a tendency to strike out quite a bit and chases one out of the strike zone.
Slow breaking ball in there for a strike on Tulowitzki. Tulowitzki is 3 for 4, and his out was a bullet to right, a line drive right at Braun. Double and an RBI in the first, double to lead off the third, single in the fourth, and he scored 3 runs. This is one of the more dangerous weapons in the game offensively, not to mention his typical great work defensively.
That's certainly an MVP candidate, particularly playing at Coors Field half his games if he stays healthy. This guy could put up some monster numbers if he's ever to be able to play every day.
Last 3 years he's only averaged 88 games per season. He took a little heat last year. You notice the number he wears, number 2. He took a little heat last year. He was injured, out for the season, but it was still during the season, and he went to a Yankee game to watch Derek Jeter. And I think folks in Colorado didn't take too kindly to that he'd be away from his team and attending a Yankees game. It wasn't a Yankees Rockies game, but there's a backstory to it, and Tulowitzki's always been a fan of Derek Jeter, and he wanted to see him one last time before he finished his career. That's the reason he wears number 2, to honor Derek Jeter. A little half swing, he goes. Yes. Smith strikes him out.
That's that Will Smith slider, unhittable when he keeps it down there. So Neil Kotz and Will Smith racking up the strikeouts. The last 5 outs coming on the K. Check this pitch out. You can't hit that. Nice late breaking slider from Will Smith.
Smith, the 4th pitcher used today. Loesch went 3 1/3. He's on the hook for the loss. Blazek gave up 2 runs, 1 earned in an inning and 2/3. Kotz 2 scoreless. Smith working here in the 8th. Justin Morneau with 2 outs.
Well, he got 16 hits on the board for Colorado, 10 runs, and wouldn't you know it, last year's batting champ in the National League hitless. It's the way it goes sometimes.
Morneau lines one to Davis, and that will retire the side. So the lefties are doing well. Cox and Smith button up zeros. 3 up, 3 down for Will Smith.
at Miller Park. Of course, Wisconsin looking for its first national championship since 1941. Only Davey remembers that, of course, here. Neil Kotz was pretty effective out of the bullpen. Our Marshfield Clinic shining moment. Want to talk about him real quick. 2 solid innings, Augie.
Yes, he did. You know, one thing that he was very special that he came out, was able to command the fastball. In spring training, had a little problem with his command, but today went out, located all his pitches, throwing his breaking ball for strikes. Very important.
So Neil Kotz does his thing. The bullpen looking strong right now. It's been one of those games where you just say at the beginning, what do you do, Davey? Each one of you guys, ironically, have been on each end of a game, an opening game like this.
Well, that's right. I've been there and done that. And opening day with the Rangers and getting routed. But you know what? You forget about it, come back out the next day.
You know, and the same thing is when you're on the other side and you score, you got good momentum and things seem to go your way. Today they've gone right for Colorado Rockies.
All right, game 2, of course, tomorrow. But we're going to get this one all wrapped up. Brewers Live post game on the way following this telecast, and we'll get Davey to reminisce about that 41 national championship and see if the Badgers can do it again. Brian?
Davey remembers it well.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Think about that.
Man, why did they do that to Davey?
So the Rockies make some changes here, and the new pitcher is Rafael Betancourt. Kendrick is out, 7 shutout innings in his first opening day start of his career, and the hard-throwing Betancourt facing Carlos Gomez. Charlie Blackmon slides over to right field from center to right. That's because Drew Stubbs stays in the game to play center, and Daniel Descalso is the new shortstop. So this does feel like a spring training game now. I thought that we had this behind us, Rock.
Not nearly as bad, though.
Those are tough games, aren't they?
They are tough, particularly early in spring, when your starters only play maybe 3-4 innings.
So Cargo's out. Tulowitzki gone from the game for the Rockies. Carlos Gomez is 0 for 3 today. A couple of strikeouts. He didn't line out his last time up. Kyle Kendrick was tough today, boy. Sinkers and splitters and cutters, and he had it all going well.
Yes,
7 shutout innings.
Cutters, change up, very good pitch for him. The splitter, you're right. You got to tip your hat to him. The Brewers are a pretty good offensive club, and he shut him down. Well, he didn't have too many opportunities to put anything together while he was out there.
Two and 2 the count on Gomez, and he fights one off foul.
Betancourt missed the entire season last year. Former closer in the big leagues, had 31 saves for the Rockies back in 2012.
Always thrived in a setup role. He turns 40 later this month. His 12th major league season. He had Tommy John surgery 2 years ago, which caused him to miss all of last season.
He started his career with the Cleveland Indians. Traded over to Colorado in 2009. On the comeback trail.
And that Tommy John ligament replacement procedure extending another career. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Gomez.
It's got to be difficult when you're getting around 40 years old to come back from surgery like that. It's got to be much more difficult. It's tougher to get over everything when you get older, especially surgery like that. And a lot of hard work put in to come back from that surgery.
Well, that surgery used to be the surgery that would extend your career by a few years toward the end of your career. Now you're seeing so many young pitchers have the Tommy John procedure. I think that's a little bit scary. Our colleague at Fox and MLB Network, John Smoltz, believes that maybe other than Adam Wainwright, that he could be the last Hall of Fame pitcher to have Tommy John surgery. He believes that the Tommy John procedures are happening so early now with some of these great young power pitchers that it might be tough to get into the Hall of Fame because of the longevity factor. Pretty good science on how long he can pitch after that procedure. As Gomez pops out, and the first out here. All right, Rockets, time to look at the T-Mobile changer, the game changer, and that would be Jonathan Lucroy and his season last season. He hit over 300. He had 53 doubles.
Yeah, just an incredible season. I mean, all across the board. You talk about the offense, but not too many people think about Jonathan Lucroy as the solid, good defensive catcher that he has become, and that's where he's improved the most. He's always been a good hitter. I think the Brewers always knew he was going to hit in the major leagues, but you know, the progress that he's made in calling a game, getting pitchers through games, blocking the baseball. I remember a couple of years ago, I mean, he had a tough time blocking the baseball, particularly in the first half. Worked at it very hard. Actually, before every game, he would block pitches before he warmed up the starter, and his throwing has really improved.
Baseball loose from the bullpen, the Brewers bullpen. Lucroy breaking a major league record for doubles in a season by a catcher, held by Pudge Rodriguez of the Texas Rangers, Ivan Rodriguez. Yadier Molina had the National League record for doubles in a season. That was just 2 years ago. Lucroy broke that one and then broke Pudge's doubles record as a catcher. Had 53 when it was all said and done. It's tied a franchise record. And there is always a lot of talk about his offense, rightly so. He deserves it, but he's, as you mentioned, greatly improved defensively, and now is a weapon defensively as he strikes out for the second out of the inning.
And that Betancourt fastball, he's never really a flamethrower, not in the last few years. Even before the surgery, he was 92, 93, but very good command. He likes to work the outside corner, doesn't come in too much. Talk about locating a fastball in the outside corner, just a little bit off, but Lucroy with 2 strikes has to protect.
2 gone. Gerardo Parra batting for the second time. Braun occupied that spot for 2 at-bats. Brewers still have 2 on their bench, Hector Gomez and Martin Maldonado. I know it's important for Renicky to get all of his players in. Maldonado is due to hit next, if not this inning, the next inning, you would think. You want to get going. You want to get into a game. You don't want to sit on the bench to start the season for a long period of time.
Yeah, get that first at bat out of the way, get it out of the way quickly. Same thing in the bullpen. Get that first appearance, particularly for a young pitcher.
The 1-2, and Parra strikes out. 1-2-3 inning for Rafael Betancourt. To the 9th we go. 10-0 Colorado. And casino, book your stay now. Opening day at Miller Park. And the Rock, we've heard a lot of lingo about cutters and sliders. Teach us a little bit here. This is a slider from Smith.
Yeah, on the slider, you get a lot more downward action. That one down and in, getting Tulowitzki. And there you see the cutter from Kyle Kendrick. You don't get much downward movement on it. That goes more or less right to left. It's all about finger placement and, release point. You see where Will Smith's fingers are on that baseball. More of a rotation that he has 1 to 7 as opposed to the Kyle Kendrick, the cut fastball, more of a 3 to 9 rotation. So one goes down a lot more. You don't snap the wrist. It has nothing to do with the wrist snap. It's delivery. It's the same for both pitches. You don't snap the wrist. It's all about finger pressure and where you put your fingers on the baseball.
All right, that's a good look. Sliders and cutters. There's a difference. Jeremy Jeffress is the new pitcher. Martin Maldonado enters the game behind the plate as we play in the 9th inning. There's Maldonado, and he'll get an at-bat next inning. Jeffress is a slimmed down version this year. He dropped about 20 pounds after last season. What a year he had. What a comeback story he is. The Brewers picked him up from the Blue Jays. He was taken off the roster and the Brewers claimed him. He was originally in the Brewers system, drafted by Milwaukee at a high school in Virginia Beach. Signed with the Brewers, had some off the field troubles, had some suspensions. Ended up being traded in the Zach Greinke deal to the Royals. He was one of the 4 that the Brewers traded away, along with Alcides Escobar and Lorenzo Cain. And Jacob Odorizzi was the other in that group. And then so he went to Kansas City. Kansas City sent him to Toronto. And had a little time in the big leagues last year with the Blue Jays, but was taken off their big league roster, and the Brewers picked him up, and all of a sudden he figured it out and had a great year last year in Milwaukee, and figures to be a big part of the bullpen this season. Issues an opening walk to Arenado, who's going to finish 3 for 4 with a walk and 3 RBIs, a double, a homer, a single. And with a man on, here's Corey Dickerson, who is 2 for 4 with 4 RBIs, a 2-run homer and a 2-run double.
And not a bad start to the season for this Rockies offense. Yeah, but the bullpen was able to come in and kind of calm things down, for the Brewers. Good to see the bullpen getting the job done today. You're talking about that Jeremy Jeffress arm angle that he changed, and it's unusual that you change an arm angle, you get more movement, but don't lose velocity. A lot of times, you'll give up velocity for movement, but he didn't have to do that. And taking a little off that one. Change up, 87 miles an hour. He can get into the mid-90s with his fastball. Throw a curveball once in a while.
On the ground, Jeanette gobbles it up, fires to second for the out there. The lead out. Dickerson reaches on a fielder's choice, and 1 away in the 9th.
Hey, don't forget this weekend is Spring Madness 414. Save 50% on select tickets when the Brewers host the Pirates in the first weekend series of the year. Plus enjoy $4 beers, $1 hot dogs and soda, and $4 nachos. For tickets, visit brewers.com/madness. It's been a nice promotion over the years.
And it's spring break for a lot of schools in Wisconsin, in the Milwaukee area, so good chance to come on out this opening week. Doesn't matter about the weather, right? We got the roof. If it's too cold or if it's raining, Expecting a little rain maybe tomorrow. Nick Hundley at the plate, and a ground ball that is under the glove of Lind into shallow right. On his way to third goes Dickerson.
It has been a forgettable day at the ballpark for the Brew Crew. I think Lind was thinking he was going to be able to get to that one under the glove. Well, that maybe lost his balance just a bit, and into right field for a base hit. Hit number 17.
And the second for Hundley. Certainly a play that Lind would tell you he should have made, and hopefully will more often. Actually, they're going to call that an error. I beg your pardon. E3 on Lind. No hit. Speaking of weather, so if I told you that there was a 16-minute rain delay in the big leagues today in Miami, what would be the first thing to come to mind? They had a rain delay in Miami.
The roof wasn't working?
They have a retractable roof.
Right.
It came up so fast they couldn't get the roof closed in time.
It does rain a lot there. You would figure they'd have a very quick closing roof.
Yeah, I know, or at least a good radar.
Yeah, well.
But they got it closed, and they're back playing baseball in Miami, all across the big leagues. Games are going on. Marlins hosting the Braves. Atlanta made some headlines yesterday.
How about that trade?
Wow, Craig Kimbrell and Melvin Upton sent to the Padres.
Melvin.
Turn it 2 here. That is a 4-6-3 double play. So a double play is turned, and Jeffress puts up a 0 in the 9th. Last call for the Brewers. They need 10 to tie. Might as well get 11. Opening day at Miller Park and Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin, presented by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. Book your stay now. Well, it's been a rough show on the field for the Brew Crew. They're down 10-0. Rockies with 16 hits today, did a lot of damage early. Colorado had a 10-0 lead after the 4th inning today. And the Brewers just trying to get to the finish line here healthy and get ready for tomorrow. There's 161 games remaining after today in the regular season. hopefully more than that.
Yeah, well, Kyle Lowe's just couldn't put the Indians away, or I should say the Rockies away in that first inning. He had 2 outs, had 2 strikes on a couple of hitters, a double and a home run, and he was down 4-0 in the first inning. Just had a difficult time with his location early on and really was never able to recover.
Martin Maldonado getting an at-bat here. Came in the game defensively last inning, his first plate appearance. And a little ground ball to third for the first out. That is Christian Friedrich on the mound, by the way, for the Rockies. Here comes Adam Lind. Check out the Powerball home run count. Lind hoping to be a part of this. The Brewers with 150 home runs. Finished about middle of the pack, 11th in Major League Baseball of the 30 teams, and hoping to get a lot more home run production this year. The Brewers have been historically a team that has been near the top.
And they're built for power. You look up and down their lineup. Doug Melvin has put this club together with power in mind. Why wouldn't you play in Miller Park?
Rockies have Rafael Inoa at third base. He just made that play on Maldonado. And Willeen Rosario's at first. Just to identify everybody. I think everybody has played with the exception of McHenry. Is that right? On the position player side?
That is correct.
So the backup catcher is the only one at this point. There's Inoa.
And the only Brewer that hasn't played today, Hector Gomez.
Wave and a miss by Lind. Rockies get 7 shutout innings out of Kyle Kendrick. Betancourt a scoreless 8th. Friedrich here for the bottom of the 9th. Slow roller, and Lind is going to beat one out. Went under the glove of the shortstop. Descalso couldn't make a play on it. If he gets it, it's going to be an out, but Lind is safe at first.
Well, first of all, Friedrich thought he should have had it. Then it goes under the glove of Descalso, and a little bit too late for LeMahieu. Through one, through another, too late for the second baseman.
We'll see how they score that one. I think Descalso was fighting with the bag as much as anything else, trying to make that play on it before it either hit the bag or crossed the bag.
And the bag was certainly in his mind.
Oh, it'll be the 3rd hit for Lind. 3 for 4 today at his Brewers debut. Davis in the right center field. And it's going to be caught. Blackman makes a catch. 2 outs. Well, partner, it's been a pleasure, man. I know the game has not gone well, but tell you what, it's great sitting next to you and watching baseball and getting reunited with our fantastic Fox Sports Wisconsin crew here.
Feels like we never left, doesn't it? I mean, honestly. I mean, just plop yourself right in here. Forget about the last 6 months. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is.
9 years we've been together.
Yep.
Outstanding.
Since 2007. Of course, you've been around. This is year 21 for you, right? 21 in the booth.
Yep. And loving it.
Yeah. With the luckiest gigs going here in our.
You might not win every day, but it's always great coming to the ballpark. Always fun to be had, win, lose, or draw, right?
Our producers this year, Brent Reeland and Brad Weimer. Mark Vittorio, our director, Vito. Renardo Lowe will be coming in to direct some games as well. And a great crew and some of the best technicians in the game. I know a lot of people say that, but we mean it. Great camera operators, audio, video, all the work down in the truck, technical support.
And we have a lot of fun with every one of them. Some more than others.
Well, Jeanette swings and misses. That is a strikeout, and this game is over, and that is an opening day to forget. Walt Weiss and the Colorado Rockies win the opener here at Miller Park. A final of 10-0. Kyle Kendrick beats Kyle Loesch. And we'll try to wipe this one clean and get ready for tomorrow. It's time now for Brewers Live. Let's kick it out to Craig Cashon and the boys. We're ready for Brewers Live. Craig, take it away.
Okay, Brian, thanks very much. It was